Hey guys, welcome to Mosaic. This is the podcast where we sit down and talk and have processing conversations and we don't have answers for anything. And today we want to talk to you guys because we just saw a movie that is pretty fantastic.
Yeah.
And
The Revenant.
So that's why we have a bear.
Leonardo in the bear scene.
Oh yeah. It won him a Oscar. Actually, it shouldn't have.
You just got to get tore up by a bear and you get an Oscar.
After all the roles that Leo did, that he deserved an Oscar, that was the one, like, that made me so mad because most of the movie he just laid there and it's like, Oscar. It's like, no.
They're like, oh, okay, give him one.
Yeah.
Favorite Leo movie on 3. 1, 2, 3. Catch me if you can. Django.
Yeah.
I don't know anything.
All I know
Titanic.
from that is the meme that he holds his pink up. Titanic.
What? I know. That's the only one I know.
Golly.
And that Catch Me, is he in Catch Me If You Can?
Yeah, I just
That's Catch Me If You Can.
I'm sorry.
That was my favorite.
Yeah, I like that one. Titanic was the only one that came to my mind.
Oh my gosh. I like the paintings.
I don't watch movies.
She hasn't watched movies in a long time, but she went and saw Inside Out 2.
Dun, dun, dun.
And so we're going to talk about and process Inside Out 2 because, wow.
On the title of this podcast, when we put it on, I was going to say TikTok, but every platform because we're mainly on YouTube. We need to title it Spoiler with asterisks.
Oh, yes. Absolutely. Yeah, if y'all have not seen Inside Out 2, sorry, you can't watch this episode because we're going to spoil everything.
Yeah. So say it again, Ruth. Walk away from this platform right now, but like and subscribe and then walk away.
Yeah. We'll give you guys time to like and subscribe and say some
then
things down
walk-
there in the,
yeah,
in the live
down in
chat.
the live chat.
Yeah, right down there. And then, just know that we are going to talk about the plot and things that happen and everything about it because there's a lot of things that happen. Now, I will say I liked the first one better, but I only say that because I had more emotional moments during the first one.
Yeah.
This one, you don't have a lot of emotional moments, but there's like what's happening is so profound.
Yes. Yeah, the first one, it centered more around the sad versus joy, and then how there's even sad moments, but you can have joy out of those sad moments. Kind of, that's what I took away from it. And it was a lot of change in her life, and she was moving. This is like an in-depth movie. It's a cartoon.
It's gonna be great.
But it was so good, and I agree. I like the first one, but the second one had so much truth in it.
Yes.
That I was like, I kept looking at Ruth during the movie, and I would like look over at her, and I'd be like, because Kaya was sitting in between us, and we're like sitting there eating popcorn, and I'd be like,
Our 12-year-old.
yeah, looking at her, and then I'd like to have to lean forward and be like, that's right here. This is
Our lives with our 12-year-old.
Yeah, it was hilarious.
Yes.
I like your guys' perspective though, because you guys have the child to be able to be like, oh yeah, I know this, and I know like these reactions are real and everything. I have to sit there and go, that's me. And that sucks. I don't have
Your
anyone to be
puberty
like,
alarm is going off.
Do what?
I said your puberty alarm is going off
for like the 4th time in my life.
Oh, it's so funny. That was the part I think I laughed the hardest was, well, one of the hardest, probably top 3, because when it flashed off and it started saying puberty and it was like, all right, wrecking ball and stuff, I was like, my daughter, 100%.
Or when she does her, like, I barely touched it.
Yeah.
And she's like screaming at her mom. I was thinking, yes.
Oh, it was great.
All of that.
Yeah. So it's so funny how they made it so accurate in this one. Like the creators put some really deep thought into this and it makes it hilarious.
It does.
But
So I need to ask a question because I thought about this before. I thought about it during the movie. And I wouldn't call anxiety an emotion. Like So I feel like they missed it a little bit with that.
Yeah.
Like I understand what they're doing,
Right.
but like accurately, it would have been anxious.
Right.
Like that's what you feel. But even then, it's like, is that an emotion or is that?
The reason I'm laughing is because it's like I was dissecting this with Ruth after we're walking out of the movie, and then finally I felt like an idiot because she's like looking at me. I'm like, this isn't a theological like
It's a cartoon.
exposition.
It's a cartoon.
She was like, and I was like, well, they didn't exactly have this lined up with the Word of God and this and this, and she was like, it's a cartoon, and I'm like, oh yeah, but they did it so brilliantly. It should have been
It
like
makes you think of this in this way, though. It does.
Yeah.
It makes you consider a lot of things because, well, Pixar is just. I
Genius.
love Pixar. I love the way that they tell stories.
their lamp. Yeah.
Yep.
I thought they were feelings.
That jumps up and down.
They yes, but do you say that? Would you say that anxiety is a feeling?
Yeah.
Or sorry, no, they're emotions.
Right, you're saying they're emotions, but I think the second one they were feelings because the other one was boredom.
Well, it was their emotions.
But I was thinking they were feelings.
Wait,
Anxiety,
no, you're
boredom.
right.
What was the other one?
Embarrassment.
Yeah, those are feelings.
You're right. I see that part went over my head completely.
That's why it's not
Because
it's
it's emotions versus feelings. This movie's brilliant. Go see the movie. If you're still here and you haven't like
We're
clicked
gonna
away,
have to go see it because you're
now
right.
I have to go see it again in this light because I did not pick up on that at all. But you're absolutely right.
That's why when Joy says something in the movie, she's like, you can't let like one feeling create your core belief of who you are in the movie. And that's what anxiety was doing, was trying to make who she is as a person
off of her feelings.
And we don't operate out of feelings, which is theologically correct because that's right. See, I'm doing the whole, I'm going to preach on this one of these Sundays.
We're gonna show in a church.
Yeah, the whole movie. Like, all right, now we got 2 minutes to preach.
Those are my favorite sermons when they incorporate like
Movie
things.
clips.
Yes, I love that.
The Revenant, I'm going to do that.
No.
My favorite is whenever they play the speech from Braveheart.
Yeah. You're talking about a rebellion and completely godless people and murder. Yeah, let's use that in church.
We're gonna play this scene, but only this scene, and up until this part, and then we're gonna cut it off.
We're going to talk about Titanic. Your ship in life going down.
What was it for you on like the whole anxiety thing?
Yes.
How did you experience that?
So when I saw this, I was like, we have to do a podcast about this because it was so accurate on the way that anxiety in the movie is just this big frizzly character. And I know the other emotion or feelings were there as well. Yeah. But the way that she acted on everything was like so accurate of how I process things. Yeah. And I was like, okay, it's helping me in a movie articulate so I can explain it to other people. So if people are like, well, Daniel, why are you doing this? Or why do you act that way or something? Be like, go see Inside Out 2 and you'll see how my brain is. Just literally when we're driving up to the house a while ago before we started recording, I told Ruth, I said like, what's in my head right now is what's going on when that tornado was going around that board where she started that tornado. Yep. I said, that's what's in my head right now is my head's going 100 miles an hour and I don't know how to stop it. I mean, just being vulnerable because I was, before we hit record a little bit ago, which is awesome. Okay. I'm getting like way off track. Before we started.
Do we have a track?
We don't have a track because I feel like I'm like going 15 different directions. But before we started this, Sam was like, we need to start with worship. And we played some Carrie Job. It was really good. Settled us down because it was like your discernment on the atmosphere right now is just a little bit of angst. And that's what I came into the house with a while ago. And we're like, are you ready to record? I was like, yeah, I just got done having a full blown out panic attack and crying in the car and stuff. And but like, yeah, let's do this thing. Here we go. Let's talk about anxiety.
I love it. That was not Carrie Job.
That wasn't.
It was not Carrie Job.
I was going to see if he's going to let it lie or not.
I love that you thought it was Carrie Job.
Who was it?
It's Transformation Worship.
Oh,
Yeah, it's their new song called Yahweh. And if you guys,
she can sing with them. Carrie, you can do it.
yeah.
Just go call them up. Carrie's pretty famous. I bet she could call them.
I'm sure that they've had Carrie sing at Transformation Church.
Yeah.
But it's their new song. But I love that you thought it was Carrie Job.
Because I like Carrie Job.
Yeah.
I can't sing along with her songs. Another rabbit trail. Because she sings really high. Carrie, I don't know what that's called. I don't know anything about music except what Zach told us. But like when she's trying to sing, I'm like, try and sing along with her in the car. And I'm like this. And Jesus is going like that. He's like, this isn't a joyful noise. This is terrible. Anyway, how do we get off? Okay, so the reason I was like, man, we've got to talk about this is because, and we could talk about this throughout the podcast, there's like 8-9 different scenes that I started getting teary-eyed in the theater because I was like, oh my gosh, either they're being led by the Spirit while they're doing this movie, creating it because they're like articulating things, or they're just being raw and real and being like, hey, this is how I feel. Let's put it in a movie. And yeah, before we jump into like the 8 or 9, like what was your takeaways from the movie or your takeaways? Like, what do y'all feel?
So for me, so this is why I don't have like a in-depthly emotional connection to the second one. I don't have the relationship with anxiety like that. And so I had to, in very certain areas of my life, do I feel anxiety? But it takes a lot. Like it takes an abundance of crises for me to like in this last season, I felt anxiety, but like normally I do not feel that. And so that's why I had a disconnect from it. Really? I loved learning about it through this, like, dude, the scene where, they're going through the projections. That
we got to talk about that.
Is brilliant.
It was.
And the fact that they like showcased that this is anxiety using your own creativity and your own imagination against you was genius because that's what it's doing. Like in order to project these plausible things, well, not plausible, like absolutely insane scenarios. It takes your imagination. It takes your creativity and it's like the shadow of it. Yeah. And so like that was a huge one for me to be like, oh my God,
like set up the scene. So if you haven't seen it, Sam, explain like during it was halfway through the movie. Yeah. They're going through
their emotions are trying to travel through like they're trying to get to the back of the brain, which is amazing. Yes. In and of itself. There's so many layers to this movie. So many. And they find it's the imagination land. Yes. And Joy remembers it from the first movie as this super fun because she was a child, this like amazing place. Yep. And they get there and it's like it's corporatized, which I hate corporate anything. And so like I was like, yes, like fight that. Yep. And they have like literally like your imagination workers trying to come up with worst case scenarios. They are catastrophizing.
You did it.
Catastrophizing. And like it's literally like cubicles of these imagination workers and they are trying to jot down scenarios to come up with like, oh, this could happen and this could happen and this could happen.
And anxiety's running it.
Yes.
Yeah. So anxiety's like in the boiler room or the boiler whatever you call that.
On the Zoom meeting.
They're in the Zoom. Yeah. Well, anxiety's in the front part of the brain, the control station. Yeah. And she inside the movie is saying, all right, imagination, we need to come up with some projections. And she had like, she said, we only have 67 or something. Or remember, she said, we've only gotten up to 67 projections. We need more people. Like, come on. And I was like, it was one of those moments I looked over at Ruth and I was like, that's my head. Because catastrophizing, like since season 1 of Mosaic, I've said this, that like I feel like in my head, these little tiny imagination things that were made biblically for partnering with faith and showing what God wants to bring inside your life in a good way. Like what, and I'll let you share that part. But
no. I want you to talk about it because you have more of a relationship with anxiety than I do.
Oh, and that sounds terrible.
I mean, that's just, I'm sorry.
It's not coming to Christmas. I'm like not inviting that thing.
No, okay, but this is like, that's what, because I never thought of catastrophizing as an anxiety thing.
Yes.
But it absolutely is.
Yes. Yeah, it came. So that's what I was telling Ruth. I looked over at her, and I'll let you talk about this too, because living with a guy who has that imagination thing going 100 miles an hour, I felt like that in my head all the time. I'm partnering my faith with these little tiny guys inside there in those cubicles, and they're writing down the worst possible scenario. And in the movie, she's saying, all right, scenario, this, and this. And then you fall down, and I can't remember all the ones they said. And then you get fired from the team and everybody hates you and stuff. All right, that was a good one. All right, let's go to another one. She brings up another projection, and it's like in real life, I know those little guys aren't inside your head. Maybe not. But I feel like
this is a documentary.
This is a documentary. It's based on a true story. It said that at the beginning. But I feel like those things really do come up more times than not. And I dream more. This is sad. I dream more with anxiety and imagine more with anxiety than dreaming with Holy Spirit and what Holy Spirit says about it. Because the next, or same scene, but the next minute after that, joy and all the other emotions are inside that imagination station, and they start giving different projections, which were stupid.
Not just different. This because this was a big thing for me, like when watching the movie. They were giving positive scenarios.
Yeah.
And that's what anxiety didn't want.
Yes.
Don't give me positive.
Yeah, she did say
scenarios.
that. She said, don't give me those.
She trashed them.
Yeah. And she even said, okay, guys, what are these people? And then she was like, oh, joy. And she recognized something in there. I was like, this is really biblical if you look at this of like what's going on internally, because the next scenes were stupid of like, well, maybe they're not stupid. It was like, you're going to win and everybody's going to love you and hand claps and all this other stuff. And then she's like, that's a terrible one. Give me another one, and goes to the next one. But I was like, why don't I do that in my own head? Because we have control over that. According to Ruth, we do. I don't know if that's true or not.
We do.
Okay.
I'm trying. I can't vocalize like what I do on the inside.
Yeah.
It's like I've tried to put words to it to make it understand, and then you said I was talking gibberish.
She was on the way over here. She was telling me something about a train or something, and I was like,
I think
Johnny
of
Train of
Cash
track.
here, or
No, I think of thoughts like a train coming through, and the train is carrying all these different cars, and they have thoughts in them that are coming across my brain. And so if I recognize when those thoughts are coming across, that's not like, that's giving me anxiety. That's giving me stress. That's like causing me to fear. Then like physically in my brain, I'm like, no, like I'm not going to allow that to come in. Does that make sense? So I just like shove those thoughts out. Like I'm like, no. And it takes me actively pushing to not think about those things, to not let that come into my mind, because I've recognized that that's not truth. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Let me try to take what you just said. Did you get it? Did you get any of that? Okay. Let me try a different scenario that I think you might be able to get.
yes, go.
Which is
Revenue.
you are a worker for a warehouse,
Okay.
and you're in charge of the shipments coming in.
Yep.
So a truck pulls up
Yep.
and it's marked anxiety. And you have the permission to say, oh, you're not unloading that here. Take that somewhere else. So you're turning
makes
it away
sense.
from that.
Yes.
Because that's what I was, when you were speaking, like that's what I was seeing. I was like, oh, in my head, it's a warehouse.
Yeah.
And like they have all this stuff to unload. And I can either just be like, let's do it. Let's open up that back of the truck and let's start pulling out boxes.
Right.
Or I could say, you're at the wrong warehouse. Like you
Whoa.
can't bring that here. And so that's what, like, it was weird because you were talking about a train, but
Well,
was
I
the
just
movie
visualize
playing?
it like that pattern of like, I know what that train brings in. I don't know why it comes from the left always. I don't know why.
Because
I know you keep going
I
there.
know,
left to
because
right.
I'm like, no,
Ruth
in
really
my
likes
brain,
trains.
I just like visualize things in my
Yeah.
brain. And so like, that's what I'm like, no, I'm not going to allow that. And when I get those feelings, then I start to like, okay, where is that? Oh, okay. This is where it's coming from.
Yeah.
And then I'm like actively pushing that out.
Yeah.
And it's not like you can't have like some of the stuff that he is talking about, like that has anxiety, there we can find solutions for it. It means don't stuff it. I'm not telling you push it aside to just like disassociate from that. It's you can have conversations about it, but you can have it from a level of peace where it's not gonna let the feeling come in of anxiety, stress, like we are out of control here. Like there's a controlled way to talk about it and to have solutions for it, but it's not ruled by that anxiety. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It does. And they tackle that in the movie.
Right.
Because Joy is taking all the bad memories and sending it to the back of the brain, saying like, we're not going to think about that. Like, and so that's what's so brilliant about it, is because like what you're saying is we have to feel it. We have to let it be a part of us. And in this movie, like even Joy comes to the realization that what she has created as her self, what do they call it? It's her.
I can't remember.
Oh, gosh.
But
essentially it's like self-image.
True core.
Yeah.
Core belief.
Core beliefs.
Is it core belief? Is it?
Her true core belief of who
I thought it was
she
self
was.
something.
I don't know.
Self-identity.
Something like that. I don't know. Because the strands were the belief strands.
Right.
But then they created like your self
image.
And maybe it is self-image. But it would ring through and it would say like, I'm a good person, which wasn't true. Not saying that it wasn't true. It wasn't entirely true. It was what Joy wants you to believe.
Yeah.
Which is ironic and funny. And that's why I like at the end of the movie, I loved like I hurt people sometimes. I like all the truth started to come out.
Yeah.
And it like
it brought it home.
It brought it home. And it was, I'm feeling all of my interactions. I'm feeling all of my story in my life. And as it actually is, with like no suppressed, no numbing cream on any of it. And it's just like that. Yeah. Like, so that's why it's essentially, and if we were to continue the Inside Out 2 scenario, what she's trying to say is don't let anxiety have control of the board. And I think it's a good thing for you to see the movie and have this imagery and have this thinking to be able to say like, okay, that's what's going on. Because I could see how, for me at least, like the projection thing, it's happening, but I'm unaware of what's actually happening, but not anymore because I've seen this movie. Like I've seen that scene. And so like when it's happening now, I can be like, oh, wait, I am shutting out positive projections.
Yeah.
And not thinking of what could actually be for me.
Yeah.
And not everything that's coming against me.
Yeah.
And I think I do the opposite of what anxiety does. And I like make these elaborate things that can be possible.
Joy is running yours.
Yeah.
Yes. And it's just like, wow. And it's like, it's not really plausible. So most of it.
Well, because that's the other side of the coin, was Joy was also wrong in letting it just be all joy. Like it has to have, and that's coming from the first movie, but
yeah.
And when I took away, like when anxiety is in like that tornado, every single one of the other emotions wasn't involved at all.
yeah.
And it was like, she was the only one. Like,
Because she was having a panic attack in the movie.
Right. That's like everybody else didn't know what to do. Like they were just like pulled back.
It was an anxiety attack.
Yeah.
Wow. You're right. I kept saying panic attack. It was an anxiety attack.
Yeah.
Because she was they did that so well because her heart rate went up. She was breathing. She couldn't do anything. And then nothing else, as far as the movie, nothing else had access to her central core, to the brain. And it was everything that was telling her, everything that runs you during that anxiety attack is anxiety. Yeah. Whatever we can do to help for the future. And you said this the other day of depression, or maybe it's Casey. Casey said this.
Oh no, about depression being in the past and anxieties about the future. Yep.
That was you?
Yes.
That was him.
You can reiterate it.
Y'all are so awesome, though. So it's you and Matt and Casey. I just put y'all all on the same thing. Ruth now. But I think that's what she was doing the entire movie, is she's doing everything future based. And the thing about it is, and this should be encouraging for Mosers, is that the only one who has access to the future is the God that we serve. We're not there. Like, we're in the present. God operates at a time. He operates at a time and space and everything, but then he comes into our time and space and can operate here. He's the one who's fully in the past that can go and bring you to the cross and make sure that you leave everything at the cross. And he's the one who is at the end of time and all creation. And he has purposed me to be in 2024 right now and for this time. Why? I have no clue yet. Figuring that out as we go along. I tell Ruth all the time, even at the theater the other night, I said, I feel like I'm an old soul. I should have belonged in the 40s. You know this. I love big band music. I love old trucks and cars. I drive one. I hate computers. The only thing I wish I could do is bring back Skyrim, because I like playing Skyrim.
Oh my God.
Go back to the 50s.
What do you mean bring it back? It didn't go anywhere.
I would bring it to the 50s and one of those
I see what
big
you're saying. I see what you're saying.
black and white TVs and play that on there would be even better.
Oh my gosh.
But no, that's, I feel, and the reason I feel that way is because I feel like it's too much nowadays. Too much. And it's because I'm operating more times than not, just being vulnerable. More times than not, letting my projections be catastrophizing and thinking of a worst case scenario in the future that I'm not even in yet, should not be in yet, and there's no way for me to be there because only God is there. And he's the one who says, I hold your tomorrow. I have all of this. He's the one, Philippians 4:6, cast all your anxiety on me. Or no, he says, don't be anxious. Sorry, that was a different one. Don't be anxious for anything, but in all things, by prayer and supplication, make your request be known to God. And the peace of God that surpasses all understanding will guard your hearts and minds in Christ Jesus. Yeah. But then I'm stuck in Philippians 4:6-A of, well, how do you step into that movie, take anxiety, that orange fur ball, and cast it on him? So that's my question to you two. How do y'all take that? What does that look like in your mind?
So I think that it's the in the simplest form, most practical form, it is the, I am no longer going to think about the future in that area. Like, I am doing everything I can to become present. And that's how, see, my default pull is to the past. That's why I deal with more depression than I do anxiety. And that's why, because for some reason in my brain, I'm like, the future will handle itself. Like, when we'll cross that bridge when we get there. Like, that's kind of how I've always combated any form of anxiety, is I don't even have to worry about this because it's not a thing yet. Now, it comes up when, more times than not, I feel anxiety when I care for someone and I haven't heard from them. Then my brain can go into the worst case scenarios of maybe this happened or maybe this happened or stuff like that. That's where I deal with the anxiety most. But as far as planning and worrying about the future, I very rarely feel that.
That's interesting. And what's interesting is that I don't look at myself as, and this still being raw and real, I don't look at myself as being depressed a lot. I don't think I find myself being depressed. I find myself being anxious I find myself worrying too much about 200 outcomes that which I'll be teaching here in a couple of weeks. And what I'm going to be teaching on is just remembering the things that God has brought you from. And you've heard this message before, Bill Johnson, because we love Bill Johnson. Anyway, we really do. Thank you, Bill Johnson, because you're an awesome man of God, and we bless you. He taught an awesome message on this about just remembering where God has brought you from.
Yeah.
And I find myself forgetting so many times the places that God has brought me from, and then I operate out of my feelings of anxiousness rather than my brain in simply remembering where God has brought me from and what he's done in the past. And it's convicting to me. It's almost like it's so disheartening sometimes, because then I'm like, the enemy comes right in because he's the accuser of the brethren. He loves to do this, but I find myself beating myself up after that, because then all those thoughts come in of, I suck as a person. I should trust God more. I shouldn't be as anxious. I should just be completely abandoned to him and in my thoughts and beliefs and everything like that. And then I find myself trying to play the part of God ultimately.
So I have a question for you.
Oh man.
Because it's because like I'm sitting here trying to figure out my stuff as well. Why do you not think about the past?
Well, there was this guy that used to disciple me. He was from South Africa, Rafiki. And he said,
Yeah.
Oh, Lord.
the past is behind you. And then he hit me over the freaking head with this stick.
Yeah.
No, the past is behind me. I can't change the past. That is interesting, because now that you've asked me that question, I'm looking at people that I know, not just you, and I'm thinking sometimes they, more times than not, have a hard time moving past stuff or still want to live in the past.
Yeah.
And I'm 100% about taking ground and taking the future. And I think it goes all the way back to the God Squad episode when Matt prophesied that over me, is like, I look at myself as a lion.
Yeah.
As a lion, I don't care about back there, but I'm worried about the other lions I'm going to have to fight up here.
Yeah.
But
I want to focus in on
oh man, you're like you're on something now. Where are you going? Okay, here we go.
I want to focus in on why again can you not worry about the past?
Because it's do we have a light bulb? I gotta get going. Anyway.
No, go ahead.
Oh, because it's in the past.
Yeah, and
okay, Rafiki. I don't know, freaking Rafiki.
No, because I was like literally sitting here thinking, I don't worry about the future because I have no control of the future. I have no control over the freaking past either.
Right.
So
because I can't go into the past. I think that's
and you
where
can't go to the future.
I can't, but butterfly effect. There's things I can do now that affect the future. That was the whole argument on the way over here of, oh gosh, she's about to get me. Oh, did y'all see that mouth take a breath? She's like, oh.
This always just brings me back to the children of Israel. Every time that they tried to prepare for the next day. Worms.
They got worms.
It was ruined. They couldn't do it.
Yep.
They could not do it.
Yep. Oh, I know this. I know. Okay, so here it is.
Yeah.
I know it here.
Yes.
I don't know it here.
Yes.
So what does that take?
Well, that's what I'm trying to figure out too, because that's why I said like this is also hitting me.
Okay.
Because I'm realizing that my answer.
I have an answer.
Okay. Whew, she's ready.
She's revved up.
Okay, because you can't do that. Oh, my thoughts just left. You fuck.
Hit it again. We need a good 5 minutes.
Minute laugh session.
Ruth trips out.
Kill you. Oh my gosh. Wow.
Get him.
I don't know what I was saying now. No clue.
Oh, that's so funny.
Breathe. Let it come back to you.
He was saying, okay,
We were
What are we
talking
talking
about
about?
the answers being that we cannot control the past and we cannot control
can't control the future. And then you said
talked about the
children of
Israelites
Israel,
Oh, yeah?
worms
getting worms.
Okay. Getting worse.
in their food. Maggots ate their food.
Okay. No, it's a muscle. It's not something that you're going to get. It's like working out one time and then thinking, oh, where did my go into the
Yeah.
mirror and be like, oh, I don't have muscles. Well, then I'm going to stop because it didn't work. No, it's something that you have to do every single day. And it's 100 times a day. And that's why I see it as a train, because it's like constantly coming. So that's why I'm like, no, I know where it's coming and I'm not going to let that in, because I know what happens when it comes in and it starts to kind of cause the chaos. Why are you smiling?
Because the train's still on this side coming. I don't know why it's coming from the left.
It's in my brain on the left. Through that lever is where it comes.
A lever. So it comes through a lever.
Like a doorway of this
Okay.
train thoughts that come through my head. And it's like always horrible.
See, that's my problem, because I'm like freaking Urkel, like in the spirit of like my muscle that I'm using to keep my thoughts out of the future.
Wait, what?
Like you said, it's a muscle.
Oh.
I said I'm like freaking Urkel because he doesn't have any muscles.
He's weak.
He's weak. That's what I meant.
But you can build it. Like, that's what I'm saying. You can start today with using it.
But wait, there's more.
And how do you build a muscle?
You continue to do it.
You exercise it.
Yeah, that's the right word.
All right. So we got depression and anxiety, not speaking that honest, but saying like we're focused in the past, we're focused in the future.
Yes.
And when that train comes through and says, hey, because I don't know, our Mosers have listened to this before, tax season's coming up in 10 months. What do you do?
I was just about to ask you another question.
Oh, gosh.
At night, what do you think about before you fall asleep?
It's because there's like, it depends on which night. I'm like either clicking cookies on that stupid game.
No, but what are you thinking about?
I'm thinking about tomorrow.
See, that's wild. Because when I go to bed, I'm replaying today. I'm replaying yesterday. Like, dude, we are so opposite. But like
such
the
same.
answer is the same.
Yeah.
Like the answer for me, the answer for you is the exact same. And that's we need to become present. But I literally, dude, I mean, after I'm done talking to someone on my phone, like if we're having a conversation in our text messages,
Yeah.
and you've said either like good night or whatever, I scroll to the very beginning of that day and I reread the entire conversation. Like I am so focused.
Like, literally do that?
I literally do that.
Okay.
I literally do that. Like, because I don't know, like I'm just like, oh, did I say this weird or did this come across right? And like, I am so focused on replaying the reels. Maybe this is why I like movies. Like I am constantly playing these things as movies in my brain. And like, I cannot move past that. And so that's why I'm like, I'm catching the parallel here because
You know what else is interesting, speaking of movies, because I'm starting to catch up on a lot of this stuff between me and you, is that I love historical movies. You hate historical movies.
they're trash.
And the reason for that is because I already know how it's going to play out.
What is wrong with you, Ruth?
I'm sorry, I ruined it.
Ruth, get a hold of yourself. Historical movies. You hate watching
No,
those?
and my brain's just putting it together because earlier, I guess you've been doing this for a while because Fuzz was like flying across the room and I was like, what is going on? And I was trying to figure out where the fuzz came
Now you know.
from. Sorry.
Do you need another break with your little fun voice over here?
Please no. No. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, it's bringing a lot of clarification because I hate watching movies like that's why I'm sure the producers are fine and y'all are great. I don't like shows like This Is Us. I don't like movies that somebody dies in or something's real because I start thinking about like my own life and I'm like, this is going to happen or this is real or this is depressing. Like that The Fault in Our Stars was on your counter the other day and I pushed off. I was like, ew, because I was like, oh, a depressing book. Who wants to read this one?
I do.
But I would eat up if I can sit there and watch Lord of the Rings every day and watch Urkel, we already said that. So I'll watch Family Matters and just like stupid stuff that is not reality because then it gets my mind off of reality.
It's very interesting to me that you love history and you love historical movies and you love movies about the past.
Yeah.
I cannot stand historical past movies.
Yeah.
I love movies about the future.
Nope.
But what did we just realize? That I'm constantly in the past. You're constantly in the future. So it makes sense that you're to counteract that side of your brain, you're going to the past. That's a relaxation for you. Like to think about the future pulls me out of the past. And so that's a relaxation for me. It's literally just clicking for me right now, like as we're talking about this.
What about where you would live? Because I just shared a moment ago. I said, I feel like I'm an old soul. I should be living in the 1940s, 1950s, post World War II, building the new America. I bet you want to be in years.
The Jetsons.
See?
Give me
Why?
the future. Because, dude, like everything's automated in the future. We have flying cars in the future. We were supposed to have flying cars by now, but what happened?
Yeah.
Government. Area 51.
Elon Musk. What are you doing?
No, he's
going to
literally
Mars?
the only one working on
He's
getting
not
us.
trying hard enough. Try harder.
Leave Elon alone. Leave him alone.
I love you, Elon. I just want a Cybertruck.
Which I love because it looks like a car from the future.
Oh my gosh, which I hate because it looks like, where's that beep? Thank you. That's so interesting. We need to have just like a whole hour of us naming, well, I like this. Well, I like this.
I know. Well, we've had a whole lifetime of it. But
Another one. All right. So we've talked about this before. Guess what Sam loves as far as architecture? You love that nasty modern
give me
crap.
modern,
You know what I like?
old,
Like
rustic,
rustic.
Victorian.
down.
I like Victorian houses. I like even ours, like 40s and 50s, and throw some asbestos in there. I mean, spice it up a little bit. This is interesting. Now, Ruth, you're our therapist, so tell us, why are we this way?
Yeah, fix us.
Fix us,
Same
Ruth.
demon.
Well, you got this.
Well, now we're demonic.
Wow, thanks, Ruth.
No, it doesn't mean you're demonic. It's the same freaking devil. That's the
Hey, freaking dog, you got this train coming from over here on the left, and it's coming through.
it's the torment. It's tormenting. It's the same thing that's tormenting. It's the same one. Just operating differently. Because, and the reason why I say that is because of that muscle.
Well,
Because is when you're going through the past and going through all of that, is it like, is it a positive thing or is it like,
no,
that's what I'm
no.
talking about.
See, when I'm going through the future,
Is it positive?
It's not positive.
No.
And this is what I'm interested, because I feel like the answer for you is also the answer for me, which is, why are we doing this?
I'm not texting. I'm looking up a scripture. I feel bad every time I pick up my
Oh,
phone.
no. I meant like, why are we doing this? As in like, why are you thinking about the future? Why am I thinking about the past? And I have my answer.
good. I
Let
have
me know
my
when you
answer.
have answer. On 3. 1.
Wait. Mine's like a long, not one word.
Oh, mine's a sentence.
Yours is a sentence? Well, mine's like a paragraph.
Bring it down to one sentence. Oh, have you ever played? Okay, so this is like a corporate. Hate that word. Like it's like a game they play like with like new teams and stuff. It's like a team building thing. And it's like, okay, so the game is all this entire section
right now.
is just to like get us to do this right now. So the game is on the count of 3. You have to have a word like one word in your brain.
Okay.
On the count of 3, you say the word, I say my word at the same time. When we say our word, we have to then do the game again, but it has to be what those two like have in common, or like those make you
Of
think
what I said or what you said?
Yeah. Like if you said water and I said blue,
Okay.
then we'd have to be like, okay, water, blue.
Water.
We do 1, 2, 3 again, and we both have to say the exact same word. That's the goal. And so when I look at you and I'm like blue water, you look at me like, okay, we know where this is going. 1, 2, 3, ocean. Like, like that kind of thing. So
we're going to say one word?
So one word. Let me know whenever you have your word. 1 or 3, 2, 1.
Chrysanthemum.
Asteroid.
What?
Australia?
No, wait.
What'd you say?
I said asteroid.
I thought you said Australia.
What
Asteroid.
did you say?
Chrysanthemum.
What is that?
It's a flower.
Oh, okay. Okay. So now let me know whenever you have it.
Oh, gosh. Okay. It's not going to make any sense. You
All
ready?
right. 3, 2, 1.
Quiet
Dinosaur.
Place.
Okay.
Yeah, because they crashed into her.
Okay. Wait. No,
Okay.
you can't say anything else.
Okay.
So you said quiet place. I said asteroid. So
You said dinosaur.
Dinosaur.
or I said dinosaur. Yeah.
So now we come up with another one?
But you take those 2 words still.
Okay.
So quiet place, dinosaur. Ready? 3, or let me know when you have your word.
I'm ready.
3, 2, 1. Alien.
65.
65.
That's the same thing.
What?
65.
The movie 65 million when he
Oh.
Yeah.
I thought you were saying, what is it? The weird place in Arizona?
Area 51.
51. That's what I thought. That's what he said.
We
That's what I
would be
thought he
probably
said.
playing this
my
game for a
gosh.
very long time because
probably
we're on
would.
different.
I know. You're in the past and I'm in the future.
So, anyways, going back to that, my reasoning for it
Okay.
to fix it.
Oh my gosh. I was going to say to protect, which is because my whole goal of thinking about future issues is to protect my family,
In other words,
to fix it, make sure it doesn't get screwed up.
yep.
Like I can prevent that anyway.
And
See,
so like our goal is to fix it,
yeah.
but our goal is for us to fix it.
Thank you all for joining us this week.
And that's the problem. That's the torment. Like, think about this that happened in the
Oh
past
gosh.
and fix it.
That's really good.
And I can't fix it.
You can't. You know why?
Why?
Because you can't. When you said that, oh my gosh, it took me all the way back to the freaking garden because I'm thinking they tried to fix it.
Yeah.
They were looking in their past. We screwed up. Get fig leaves, future.
Boom.
God's coming in the future. He's going to walk with us this evening because every evening, like clockwork, he's going to be here. Yep. What in the F are we going to do? Yep. Adam, figure it out. Eve, I don't know what to do. Like, what are we going to, I don't know. Okay, there's a bush over here.
Let's fashion these things together.
Let's hurry up and do it together.
To cover our vulnerability.
Cover it up. We're naked. I don't know what we're going to do. Okay, we didn't finish. We got to hide. It's 2 minutes. Oh my gosh. I just heard the angel singing. He's here in the garden. We got to hide.
Yeah.
Fix it. Protect your family from a God who loves you.
Who is there to do what?
Fix it and protect you. Oh, I'm getting teary-eyed. Ruth, talk to us. Get that voice going again. Let's have a laugh break.
No breaks here. No breaks here because this is.
Sorry about my thighs, guys.
It's okay. Posty likes them.
Sorry about my thighs. Because after this episode, we're going to go swim. And so I'm a little vulnerable here. He's never coming to Palace. Post, please come.
Oh my gosh.
He's going to watch this. He's like, I ain't going down there. Ruth, help us.
What? That thing, that sermon we listened to that one time about taking every thought captive. Mm-hmm. And what does that look like? Every thought that comes into your head, putting a knife to its throat, slamming it against a wall, and asking where it's coming from. Is this speaking from the past? Is it speaking from the future? Or is it in the present? And is it with God in mind? Because if it's not, then it has to go. And you can tell it, leave. I'm not going to accept you. I'm not going to do this. And you think on things that are true. Think on scripture.
That's exactly where I was just headed.
That's where I got it.
But yep.
What?
Philippians 4:8.
It's the filter.
Brethren, whatever is true, whatever things are noble, whatever things are just, whatever are pure, whatever things are lovely, whatever things are of good rapport, if there is any virtue and if there is anything praiseworthy, meditate. When you look up meditate on these things.
To think.
To bring
What does
to
meditate
the front
mean?
of your brain.
To
Bring to the front of your
actively
actively think.
You have, when you're in meditation, you are focused.
Yeah.
You are taking everything that's not that and letting it go.
So if it's
and
not
so
this,
you focus in on,
it goes.
but I want to slow down. Go to the very first word.
Yep.
What was the first word? Finally.
Finally. Finally. Brethren.
That's what God said. Finally. We got it.
Paul's like, okay, so finally.
Not the first word, literally. The first.
Whatever things that are noble. No. Whatever things are true.
Boom. When you are thinking
What is
about
truth?
Are projections truth?
I was just, when Jesus was giving his life for us, who said that, Pilate? Mm-hmm. What is truth? And truth is literally standing in front of him.
Chosen.
Dallas. 1, 2, 3.
Jenkins.
Drink.
That's not a drinking game.
I thought it was. I'm just really thirsty.
Yeah. No, dude, but that's the thing. Whatever things are true. When I am going through my past scenarios, they were true at one time.
Yeah.
They are not what's true now.
Yes.
Your projections are not truth.
They're facts.
Okay, so I had the same problem with going in. I would literally get off a conversation with somebody and I would replay the conversation and I would be like, I had to get to the point where I started calling him because I thought I was mental and like I was going crazy and it was like for a season that I did this like constantly and I couldn't leave a conversation with somebody without that attack happening. And all of it boiled down to me. What if the enemy could get me to question myself and to not believe in myself and not to trust what's coming into my head, then he knew I wouldn't step out and use my gifting. Wow. And so it was a direct attack on my gifting and my voice. Because if I don't believe what's coming out, how could anybody else?
And this is why my biggest insecurity for the longest time was I hated the sound of my voice. Which is ironic because the enemy overplayed his hand. Because all I could think about was how much I hated my voice, to the point where I made a video and I said, I'm not going to use any music. I'm going to backlight myself so they're not even going to be able to see me. I'm going to get the best sounding microphone I possibly can. And I'm going to isolate how sucky my voice is. And I'm going to explain that I hate the sound of my voice and that for so long it has prevented me from speaking up. All of this to throw it on the internet, Reddit to be specific, so that I could get the unfiltered truth of just how sucky my voice is. And every comment that came through was, I do not know what you're talking about. Your voice is fine. And then one comment came through that said, dude, honestly, if you had a podcast, I'd listen and I wouldn't even care what you talked about because of how soothing your voice is. And that made me go, maybe I should start a podcast. Maybe I should lean into this insecurity. And me and Chris Hyde made Awkward Stutters.
Which was hilarious.
Which was the foundation of every podcast I've ever made. Because what was the only thing we did on Awkward Stutters that we do to this day now?
You don't prepare before.
Don't prepare, and we do not edit out anything.
Nothing.
It's in the DNA of every podcast I've ever done. It's in the DNA of The Basement. It's in the DNA of Mosaic. We do not edit out any moment that happens when we hit record. Yeah. Unless Ruth says all the words. Then I don't edit it out. I just got to mute them. And
you get Ruth a cussing.
Oh, man. She's got a mouth like a sailor.
That's why we have that beep button, Ruth.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Beep it.
I think it's funny because me and you find the censors so hilarious. I think people actually, like when we first started doing it, I think they were offended. I think
Really?
I think we stepped on some religious toes a little bit, because they're like, I don't know, don't play like that. And I'm like, I don't care. I'm real.
Yeah.
We weren't really cussing.
I know, but that's the implication.
That we know of.
What are cuss words? We shouldn't even know what those are. Like, that's how people are.
Ruth.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Yeah. People are like, you shouldn't even acknowledge or talk about cuss words. As if they don't say it when they stub their toes.
Ooh. The religious toe.
Yeah, the big one.
The big one.
So I think we
The
could
daddy.
sum all of this up.
I thought you were
Are
saying
you ending our episode?
I don't know.
Ruth's ready to go swimming.
No, I'm
with
just thinking
these
like,
legs.
because if it's true for you and it was true for me,
Yes.
then like we could, this is two people I know, but we could come to the conclusion that behind your biggest insecurities and biggest things that you battle with the enemy is your greatest gift.
That is what led me to believe that every insecurity is a strength that's masqueraded. And
Because the
down.
enemy tries to get you to look at this so that you don't look at the strength that you have.
What's your biggest insecurity, Daniel?
The future.
No, you personally.
Me, personally? Mm-hmm. I worry. Is that what you're talking about? Or are you talking about
No,
a
like
physical
like
attribute?
my biggest insecurity was I hated the sound of my voice. Like your personal, like this is what I don't like about myself.
Mine were my feet.
Ruth, what is mine?
You can't have Ruth answer that for you.
She's married to me. She knows. I think I'm afraid of everything. Or you're, I don't know, like.
I don't know.
Would you say then that like you are not brave or you're not courageous?
I don't feel courageous. I feel like I don't. We've talked about this before. I think it's like that I just don't. I more times than not don't trust God at his word. Just being honest. That I more times than not try and do it within my own power than trusting God.
Yeah.
And the thing is like I said at the beginning, like I know it here, I just don't know it here. And that's what, even in the season that he's working in me, is just, Daniel, trust in me every moment, everything you're going through, trust in me.
So let me follow that up with, what would you say that prevents you from doing?
What does that prevent me from doing? Risk. Perceived risk. Because if it's him calling you to it, is it really risk? Like, people would say it's risky to step out of a boat in the middle of a massive storm. Jesus didn't call it risky. He said, just keep your eyes on me and get out of the boat.
And
so
I think the enemy has done an endless amount of effort to get you to never take risks. Because if you got comfortable in taking risks, there's something there that would be unlocked. Maybe it's the knowing that God does have your back and that you're never without a safety net.
yeah.
And if that is to click in your brain and your spirit, then you literally become a giant slayer. And you go into battle with one rock.
And no backup.
No backup dancers.
See, and that's interesting because that was one of my prayers at the beginning of this year. When we come up, we always come with a ton of stuff like we wanted to do for the beginning of the year as pastors. When we come together as a team, we always come up with a ton of things that we want to do in our ministries and things like that. And this year I told them, I said, guys, I've got 3. I want to be closer to God than I ever have before and have the deepest relationship with God. I want to be the best father and husband and that I could ever possibly be, whatever that looks like. Like, I want to be intentional in that. And then the third was to be the best, like, pastor and to, like, disciple the city and do stuff with our foster family nights and things like that. Like, that was my top 3. And it seems like every one of those has just been pummeled this first 6 months, which is crazy to think about. We're halfway through 2024. And I remember that prayer of, God, I want to be closer to you and I want to trust you. Spirit, lead me where my trust is. Like, we sing stupid things like that. And then God's like, let's do it, boy. Not in a facetious way. He's like, I want that too, Daniel. Let's do it.
It's interesting to me that you prayed to be closer than ever before. And which disciple would you say was the closest to Jesus than any other disciple?
John.
And I would say, not literally. If you take it literally, who was the closest to Jesus anyone has ever been?
I don't know.
Thomas.
Ooh.
Because he literally put his hand
In his side.
in his side. And why? What brought that intimacy? What brought that level of closeness? Doubt. And that is why I don't see Thomas as a negative, doubting Thomas. God used the doubt to bring him in the closest. God has been using your anxiety to bring you in closer to him, but you have to realize that first. Thomas had to admit that he doubted for Jesus to say, put your hand on my side. He had to be there. I don't think you are who you say you are. I have had that conversation with God in the last 48 hours. And I'm just now realizing that too. That I've literally said, you're not doing what you've said you've done. You are not who you say you are. And it's like, Dude, I don't think God is shaken by our doubt. I don't think God, like, we have this mindset or this idea that we cannot be doubtful, that we cannot waver in our faith. And God's saying, when you do, I'm there. Mm-hmm. And I don't think, like, we fragilize God. And that's honestly what I think the foundation of us trying to work things out for is. Like, God, we'll take care of it. Or like the idea of, I got to fix myself before you come to God. Mm-hmm. You're fragilizing God. You're saying you can't take care of this, or you shouldn't have to take care of this. Like, I'm not that you're too dirty, but it's like, in my mindset, I'm an added weight to you. I'm not an added weight to God. Mm. It's impossible for me. Like, my entire existence can't be an added weight to God. He's not that fragile.
Mm. It's a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot, but I think it's important that we realize, like, it's okay. I wonder if we were comfortable with questioning and doubt. I don't think that deconstruction would be a bad thing. It's like what Zach's dad said to him. God can handle your questions. It's people that can't, more often than not. They can't handle you saying, well, I don't think God is da 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 da. Ask the question, but wait for the answer. Truthfully.
Yeah.
He'll answer you. God is a God of answers. It is proven time and time again in the scriptures. He answers questions. He answered the questions of the Pharisees every single time. Even when they were trying to trap him with their manipulation and their malice in their hearts, he still answered their questions. Did they understand the answers? Not always. I think it's the same in our lives, dude. We'll ask God questions and he'll answer them, and we don't get it yet. Mm-hmm. Until certain things have played out and you look back and you're like, oh God, that's what you meant.
Yeah.
That's what you were doing the whole time. That's how you can get to a place where you say the worst thing in your life. You wouldn't change. When you have come through your story and you look back and you see, oh, that domino led to this domino, led to this domino, led to this one. And I would not be standing where I am today if it wasn't for that first one to fall.
Yeah.
Truth.
Truth.
It is.
If y'all don't know Ruth, she's just along for the ride. Girl, you remind me of like a stoner or something.
Stoner?
Yeah, bro. Wow. Truth.
That is such truth.
It was.
Nothing you just said was false.
That's so good. I'm digesting the last hour of this conversation.
And it all started with Inside Out too.
So go to the theater and go see.
Yeah.
We're sponsored by Pixar.
Hey, we're taking sponsorships, Pixar, if you want to. We'll talk about every movie you put out.
So funny.
At least for a minute.
Speaking of which, quick rabbit trail. Thank y'all for giving to the show. We appreciate every single donation. I do want to say something that you can partner with us right now on is we are raising money for another camera that we have, because we actually want to do it because y'all have seen the God Squad episodes. You've seen it where we're bringing people on. Which is a good problem to have. We're actually having to expand what we're doing right now. And so if y'all feel it in your hearts to give to it, you can give down here. On the screen. No, because we are going to take the money. One, we tithe off it is the first thing we do. So we want to let y'all know that we do tithe off everything that does come in. And then the second thing is that we're going to put it toward the equipment that we're using to do more content and stuff like that. So, I don't know why I brought that up in the middle of like one of the deepest episodes.
It's good.
But I was like, I just wanted to let y'all know. Thank y'all, one, for giving what you have given. And then just so you have a plan, because I love plans, you know that we're not being bad stewards with the finances that are coming in. We're actually putting them in a good direction. Ruth?
Oh my God. That's like the second time you tried to end the episode.
Are you ready to go swimming? Is that your deal?
Yes, it's been a long day and I'm hungry.
Oh my gosh. Well,
My
I guess
stomach is
that's
growling.
it,
I couldn't believe you don't hear it. Sorry.
We're going to go get some food because Ruth says that this episode is done. And we will not fight her because she is got the mouth of a sailor. And I don't want y'all to hear any of that.
In the show, in the voice. The little squeaky voice. So we can
You're already imitating it.
I'm not imitating it. This is my real voice.
until I turn it on, and then your actual voice gets higher because you're trying. It's funny.
Are you stuck over here? Are you good?
Help me. There.
She's already taking her in-ears out. Ruth, are you done?
She's gone. She's about to stand up and leave.
She's about to pull out a power bar or something.
We need to have little snacks on the table
Yes,
for
we
next
do.
week.
For me.
Pistachios.
So that Ruth can stay through. This is gonna be our first 3-hour episode.
Oh, good gosh,
so we
no.
got like 2 more hours still.
Yeah, we haven't
I'm
even
good.
touched
Yeah.
The Revenant. All right, so anyway,
No.
in the
Goodbye. We love you guys.
Oh my
We're
gosh.
going to eat.
Oh, you forgot the peace sign.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you guys for hanging out with us and laughing with us, crying with us, processing with us, and just thinking with us. This has been an incredible episode. I've had a blast, and I love that we had a diving board of a movie to dive off of. Do go see Inside Out 2 because it's amazing. And until the next episode,